Thank you, everybody, for coming over to the program today. I want to get into this. I'm not going to cover this story in the way that you are expecting me to, in the sense that, let me just keep it real. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I'm the biggest fan of Don Lemon. Don Lemon spent, about 30 more years on CNN. He has, said some things over the years that I've disagreed with, some I agree with. We know Don Lemon and his record from being on CNN all those years. Just like Don Lemon and many like him, such as Joy Reid, these were individuals who are now claiming themselves to be independent media, which they are technically. But when we were on these YouTube streets breaking down stories, you would have people like the Joy Reids of the world and those that would just say, oh, that's just those people on social media. But now people like Don Lemon and many other journalists, such as black journalists, find themselves right where we are. They find themselves on YouTube now, coining themselves as independent media. And guess what? We can consider ourselves as independent media as well. And so whether you like Don Lemon or whether you don't like him or you like him, it doesn't really matter. What we need to be concerned about is what Donald Trump has done as it relates to the First Amendment rights that we have. Donald Trump circumventing the system is a threat to all of us, because right now, if you've been following what's been going on, is that Twitter, or not Twitter, but TikTok is under attack. If you don't agree with what's happening in Israel, the Palestinian situation, you don't agree with anything, or if you put out post. I put out a post on my Information Man TikTok post, and I dropped that post with the pastor, Geno Jennings. I put that on there and they gave me a warning like that. What's happening is that the people who own TikTok are the same people that Donald Trump put in charge when y'all thought that Donald Trump saved TikTok for y'all. You got people on TikTok that's now saying they can't make any money. And if you put any political posts down, you're going to be censored or kicked off the platform. What I'm telling you is that Donald Trump and his administration, they're not happy about people giving him pushback, people talking about the Epstein files. Do you know on TikTok that if you try to look up Epstein files on there or put Epstein's name in there, that they will try to censor you? I tried it. And so this is why what's happening to Don Lemon and Sister Georgia Fort, whether you like these people or not, it does not matter. What matters is that if they can do this to people, if they can shut mainstream media down and censor what mainstream media says and does. CBS has been taken over. CNN, they try to play the line. We know what Fox propaganda news is all about. But if they can go after these major news organizations, and we've seen Trump sue them for a lot of money, right? He's gone after liberal universities or universities, making them try to play ball with him, like Columbia University in New York City. This young lady right here, Georgia Fort, is very well known in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She's also an independent media personality out there. And this whole thing fell apart, broke out when Don Lemon went to a church called City Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I've got the footage. I got the raw footage of what happened. The reason why they went there is because of the fact that there was a pastor who is an ICE agent. So there's a pastor, a man who is on Sunday praising the Lord, talking about Jesus, even evoking the name of Dr. King. You're going to hear that. And at the same time, he is directing everything that's been happening out there behind the scenes in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, let me give a clarification here, because I know that there's going to be somebody out there that's going to make a dumb statement, some chump, some person that's going to say, oh, you for the illegals. I've said this very much clearly, and I'll say it to you. I am not for people that are here illegally, who sneak into the country, who break the laws, who do criminal activities, sell drugs, prey on women and children, prey on people, rob the system. I do not agree with that. 110% orange juice. Okay.
Tell the truth.
These individuals should be removed from the country if they are legitimately criminals, legitimately impacting the system and what have you. I do not believe in snatching up children who had nothing to do with their situation in this country, whether legal or not. One of the things that I'm very most focused on is that we're seeing too many Americans who are being impacted. Now, white folks are being impacted big time because white folks didn't listen to us. Black folks, we've been telling you about the policing system in this country. We are under a police state in the way Donald Trump is operating. Black people have been impacted by this for a very long time, and we have warned this country that this was coming down the pipeline. White folks are going berserk right now because they're getting just a small taste, not even really a big taste, of what black people have gone through for over 200 or 400 years in this country in terms of being under a police state. Black folks have always been under a constant police state. We know what it's about. So we don't need anybody in general telling us we should get out there and protest when black people have already done that, been there, done it. We don't need anybody telling us what we need to be doing because we've been doing it when most of y'all wasn't even out there. Okay. But I don't agree with children being snatched up and mishandled. I don't agree with U.S. citizens being snatched up. And certainly I've seen the video, and I've got all kind of angles of that video that I might do a separate video with you all, breaking those angles down about the situation with Alex Pretty. It's pretty obvious that, yes, he brought a weapon to a protest. It was in holster. They took it out of his holster when he was down under their control, and he got shot in the back. People said 5 times, but now there's evidence that's saying that no, he got shot by 2 of the ICE agents, making a total of 10 times. Now, you may say black people don't have nothing to do with this. Certainly, you can make an argument that it's not our fight because ICE, technically, you can say is not after black Americans, but after people that are here illegally. But there are black people that have been caught in the crossfire of this ICE Gestapo. Yes, there are black people that have been impacted, and I will show you a black child that was impacted by this ICE program. There he is right now. He's a little bit older here. Wait until you see this. And the pastor of the church that Don Lemon and these individuals right here went to, because it was 4 black press members or independent press that he had the ICE agents, in this case, federal agents like DEA, which DEA is supposed to go after what? Drug dealers, drug lords. A DEA goes knocking at Mrs. Georgia's house. Somebody tell me something here. This young lady goes to her house because that day she was at the church where they were protesting this particular individual right here. You're going to learn more about this white man right here because, like I said, he's using Dr. Martin Luther King's name in vain, out of context. He is a preacher who is a pastor of this city church out there who was involved in coordinating a lot of the stuff that you see out there that's happening. Now, I'm going to say again, because I know there's going to be a fool out there that's going to say, oh, you for illegals information, man. I unsubscribe. Well, unsubscribe. I never said I was for illegals. I said I don't agree with people here illegally breaking our laws, bypassing people that have been waiting to get here legally, impacting Black Americans, because we know that, and I'm going to keep it real, and I don't care what anybody says, we know that immigration or illegal immigration has impacted and does impact Black Americans the most.
Tell the truth.
But what I'm looking up here is saying that what they did to Don Lemon and the people that were with him, they're coming for us next. Because if they could do this to Don Lemon, who's not even in the mainstream media, they can do this to any of us who have an opinion about Donald Trump and his administration. It doesn't really matter. Like I told you, on TikTok, they're censoring people who are talking about Donald Trump, who have a disagreement with the ICE. Whether you for what they're doing or not, you should not be censored because you have an opinion about what's going on. There should be freedom of press. They went into a church that was pastored by this man who is responsible for putting out the directions that affected this child right here. He is responsible for what has happened to this child who is older here, but was only, the child was like, 6 months old, maybe 3 months old baby that you see right there. Take a good look. So when people say, well, Don Lemon had no business, Don Lemon wasn't part of a protest. He was reporting what was going on. He just got dragged into it with Miss Georgia because Donald Trump's administration doesn't want anybody giving a backlash or reporting on what they're doing, whether you agree with it or not. Whether you like Don Lemon or not doesn't really matter. What matters is that if they can do this to Don Lemon and Miss George Ford, they can do that to any of us on YouTube. So for those of you who like my commentary every weekend or when I drop a video, last call, Mrs. Miranda in the house, I see you. Any of you, Alex Dixon, any of you, if you like any of your favorite YouTubers or content creators' opinions on things, and if they got something to say about the Trump administration, if they got something to say about how Trump went to how Trump and his administration took down a historical placard in history in Philadelphia. Have y'all heard about that? Put sevens if you know about it. He is stripping Black history in this country while propping up Confederate monuments, while saying that Confederate monuments should be brought back, while renaming military bases that were named after Confederate generals. He has brought that back while stripping down Black history monuments, Black history plaques, Black history stories, trying to distort the history. That's what your man Trump has done, for those of you who are Trump sycophants. Because for those of you on these YouTube streets that talk about FBA, that I'm FBA, we foundational Black Americans. We were here first. We built a foundation. Well, if you're FBA, you're ADOS, you say you're here, you're the foundation, then you should have a problem with seeing a baby, a foundational Black American baby that's impacted by the policies of the orange man in the White House who have impacted this child right here. And that's Donald J. Fuck you, Trump. So I don't give a damn about how you feel about Don Lemon. You don't like him because of his sexuality, or you don't like Don Lemon because you just can't stand him. I've already said in the beginning of this video, I'm not a big fan of Don Lemon, but I'm looking at the bigger picture because they could come after me, any of us on these YouTube streets as independent media. If we go out and do a story about what's happening to Black folks that's being impacted by Donald Trump or his administration or anybody for that, it opens up the door for anybody to censor us because they're already censoring people on Twitter, on X. And on Twitter, you are censored on Twitter. I keep saying Twitter, you are censored on Twitter because over there, Elon Musk, he has manipulated the algorithms where if you drop a post that's favoring black people's issues, or if you're not a well-known person, you don't get any traction on your post. He's messed with the algorithms. They're doing the same thing with TikTok. Who's to say they gonna stop at that? They could do the same thing on YouTube. And they can say, we're not allowing this type of commentary anymore. We're blocking it out. So that's why what happened to Don Lemon should be an alarm bell for all of us, whether you like the man or not. And for this sister right here who was in her home where her children were alarmed by ICE agents peeking into her window. Harassment, complete harassment. You can't tell me, everybody out there listening, that you accept this sort of stuff. Illegals who do crime, yes, they must go. People that are here illegally and not getting their paperwork right, they've been here 30, 40 years and never took the time to get their paperwork right, they need to go. Black families have been impacted by this. And this black family that got impacted by this with their baby, they weren't even trying to protest. They was trying to go home. And their baby gets swept up in the nonsense by the tear gas. Now, let me show you exactly what was going on. Don Lemon made a statement here. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. I don't give a damn about the Grammys, to be honest with you. The hell with the Grammys. Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and he's constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role is to shine a light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. Now, check this out. Whenever they enact something new, they always enact that new situation on black people. We become the litmus test for whatever they got coming down the pipeline, whether it's going to be, we're going to take your rights away when it comes to freedom of speech, when it comes to right to bear arms. Check this out. Why do you think they changed the laws in California? Because the Black Panther Party did what? They exercised their rights, and then they changed the laws in California. Whenever black people exercise their rights to bear arms, to do anything under the law, everybody is concerned. So isn't it interesting that the only people in the press that they went after, particularly independent press, were 4 black journalists as the litany test? Because there are certainly white folks who have been talking about Trump and having unfavorable views of him, and they didn't get dragged into federal agents knocking at their door. See, when you got our complexion and you are not you're a non-black person, as Paul Mooney used to say, black people, we don't have the complexion. We have the wrong complexion for the goddamn protection.
Tell the truth.
So whether you like Don Lemon or not, he don't have the complexion for the right protection.
Tell the truth.
Now let me show you the video. This is why they went into the church, because this man right here is supposed to be a man of the Lord. And not to get biblical on y'all, but I am going to get biblical on y'all. Y'all know darn well when Jesus walked the earth, if you believe in Jesus, that Jesus didn't spend time hanging out with the rich. He would never be hanging out with Donald Trump. He would never be hanging out with any of the members of his pedophile. And I'm going to be dropping another video on y'all about Trump and them new files that then came out. You got Bill Gates in them files. You got Trump all up in them files. Epstein had all kind of dirt on folks. His whole he got people in his administration that's all up in them damn files. The whole damn administration is damn near allegedly pedophiled. Anybody that want to support that, something's wrong with you, because this truth is coming out. What lies in the dark comes out in the light, and it's coming out. Now, this man right here, at the direction of Trump's administration, is talking about Jesus on Sunday, but yet Jesus wouldn't be hanging out with none of these. Jesus hung out with the downtrodden, the poor, the sick. Jesus even has a statement about how you treat people that are quote unquote foreigners in your country, how you treat foreign people. But most of these folks are not following anything that Jesus said in the good book, or that Jesus stood for. Because how can you be a preacher and then also be a part of ICE and be directing them to do things that harm babies like this? Now and so I just wanted to give y'all that context when I show you the videos of Don Lemon going into the church as a reporter. And then the other woman, Miss Strong, she got caught up in this. She was I think she's a pastor and she's a lawyer, and she was one of the ones that was involved in the activism, whether you agree with it or not. Because personally, I think people in church have the right to the sanctity of being in their church without being disturbed. So on some level, I'm kind of like iffy about it, because I understand why they were protesting, even if I didn't agree with it or agree with it. And thank you for the super chat, Miss Miranda. I thank you very much for the $5 super chat. You say, my brother, you're telling the truth. I appreciate your perspective on the issue. It's sad how they are messing with the algorithms on social media. Yeah, they're messing with the algorithms. Look, I already struggle enough with the content that I do to get the kind of views that I get. And I must say, I did a video on Keith Porter for y'all, and that got about 547 views. Why do you think that happened? It's because the algorithms don't want to the YouTube algorithms ain't going to push that out. If you're not a big time news agency talking about it, or some big time established content creator who's got millions of subscribers, someone like me, I talk about Keith Porter and what happened to that brother, and it gets no traction. Either y'all didn't watch it or y'all didn't care. I know everybody wants me to do Umar Johnson content, but guess what? Umar Johnson ain't the only person out here that we need to be damn well concerned about. We got other things going on in the black community. We know what Umar Johnson is. He's a con man. We know what he's about. But we need to also look at other impacts on the black community. And the fact that I drop a video like that about Keith Porter, who ain't getting no traction, like Alex Preddy and Good, and it got no views. 550 views, 57 views. Damn shame. This video may not even get no views either. That's why I say share the video, because YouTube suppresses the algorithms. Now let me get back on track here. Like I said, Don Lemon went into the church. The activists went into the church. I don't necessarily think that was the right thing personally to do from a moral point of view, because you went into a church and you disturbed the people in the church, even if you didn't like the pastor, and the pastor has a history, as I said, and we're going to talk about it. I don't think it was the right thing to do. I'm just saying this personally. I can understand why they did it, because they're saying, hey, you got a man in the pulpit who's a hypocrite, not living up to what Jesus was about. I understand that part of it. It's a dual situation. What's going on, my man, DOD Black? Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel. He dropping me with $10 here. I support Tell the Truth. Tell the truth, brother.
Tell the truth.
And I'm going to say it again, because I know some knuckleheads out there going to leave these comments and say, if a man, you for the illegals, man. Black people ain't going to. I ain't said I was for them. I said I'm not for illegals that are here, who have done crimes, that have come into our country illegally. I'm not for people that's been here for years and years and done nothing to get their status correct. And I have no love for those illegals that are here doing crimes on children and women and so on and so forth. Yes, get them out. But I'm talking about Americans, how Americans have gotten swept up in this. And some black people have been impacted by this when they were minding their own damn business. Can I get a witness? Now, I just had to say that in context. Let's go forward. Let's go for it. I had to put that in context as you watch these videos and what have you. So let's look at Don Lemon when he got arrested and he came out and he said these things. And I'm going to say it again. Whether you are a fan of Don Lemon or not, it does not matter, because if they can do this to these black folks or anybody in the press, what you think they can do to us on YouTube when they're already censoring TikTok? I'm going to say it again. I dropped a video over there about the Geno Jennings calling out Trump, and the video got a warning on it on TikTok. Okay? And then TikTok's got some new services that you have to agree to where they want to know all your business, where they now want to know your location. They want to be able to spy on you so that they can, okay? I'm going to be doing a video about that. Here we go. Let's listen to Don Lemon for a moment when he got out, he got released.
I have spent my entire career covering the news. I will not stop now. In fact, there is no more important time than right now, this very moment, for a free and independent media that shines a light on the truth and holds those in power accountable. Again, I will not stop now. I will not stop ever. Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court. Thank you all.
All right. So there it is. You got Don Lemon. Those were his statements when he was released out of jail, wherever they had him. He was detained. Let me just say this. He made the statement that he's independent media. Remember, Don Lemon has spent most of his time in mainstream media like Joy Reid and many of the other black folks that we see on these alphabet channels. We know for a fact, everybody, that the people who are legitimately independent media are people like myself, many YouTubers or content creators on YouTube that's been grinding on these YouTube streets when Don Lemon was still at CNN, when Joy Reid was still at MSNBC, and many other of these bourgeoisie Negroes, right? We know that we've been grinding over here for a long time, hitting the alarm for a long time. Now Don Lemon, that he's no longer with CNN, we're into our territory, and now he's what? Independent media. But many of these folks in mainstream would laugh at us. Remember how they laughed at us, ladies and gentlemen? Remember? And now Don Lemon's just getting a little taste of what many of us deal with, which is being censored. But because he's got a big name, they make a big splash with him by arresting him because that looks good for the Donald Trump administration to try to pump down. But this is how Donald Trump has literally violated the law. Let's read the First Amendment that we all have or supposed to have. Here we go. The First Amendment, Congress shall make no laws respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press. So Don Lemon's press, I would be considered press. This is Georgia is press. Okay. Good looking sister here. By the way, I got to keep it real.
Tell the truth.
She's press, right? And her kids were very frightened that night. I'm going to show you that video, right? Freedom of press. I want to emphasize that freedom of press or the right of the people, right, to peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for remedies of grievances.
Tell the truth.
That's what you got going on here, everybody. So let me go into the next video and let you see what happened to these folks right here. Don Lemon, and this sister right here, Mrs. Georgia. There were other guys that were impacted. I think Mr. Cruz on this list that I have right here. You had Jamael Lydell, and you have brother Crew, like Terry Crews Crew, that on the bottom here that were the other four that were there that day. So they're trying to say that Don Lemon, Miss Georgia, and these brothers Lydell and Jamael Lydell and the other brother Crew, that they went into the church and incited and did an incitement that put the people at risk in the church. They saying babies and children and what have you. And that they were part of that Don Lemon was part of this mass protest. And in fact, just to keep it fair, he was not part of the protest. He simply went there to report what was happening. So let's play you this video, right? Oh, let me play you. First of all, let me slow down. Let's play Mrs. Georgia Fort when she was released out of custody in her situation, just like I did with Don Lemon. Here we go.
I should be protected under the First Amendment, just like all of the journalists who I've been advocating for, too. I've been advocating for mainstream media journalists who have been brutalized for months. Do we have a constitution? That is the pressing question that should be on the front of everyone's minds. And so to everybody who showed up today, thank you. Please continue to support the other people who are being charged. Obviously, because there's ongoing litigation, there is not much that I can say beyond what I'm saying now, but amplifying the truth, documenting what is happening in our community is not a crime. And the
Tell the truth
that were asked a few weeks ago on a Sunday morning by concerned community members, those questions still need to be answered. And as a journalist, I am committed to continuing to follow the story until their questions are answered.
All right. Let's go into the next one right now. Here is the first clip from Don Lemon in the church. Here we go.
And Nikema stood up and said her piece, and then the protesters surrounded her. But this is a clandestine mission. I think they found out one of, according to them, this is according to Operation Pull Up, that one of the pastors here is a member of ICE. And so here we go.
You could talk to the lead pastor.
Yeah. Okay. And so the pastor is over there. And so they're screaming Renee Good.
So basically, I know it sounds very confusing in the church. So the protesters came in and they were shouting Renee Good several times. And I got to be honest, if I was in my church or in my place of religious practice, I would be kind of pissed off if people were to come into my place of worship and disturb it. So that's where I land on this, that I don't think it was a good look. But some people agreed with what they did, said, hey, protest is not to make people feel comfortable, but protest is to make people feel uncomfortable. And let me tell you something about the civil rights movement. A lot of people don't know this, that during the civil rights movement, you did have black people who went into white churches and did exactly what they're doing right there, disturb that white church. Remember, and I'm going to show you a clip that will remind you of this history, folks, because I don't think anybody is gonna give it to you in the way I'm gonna give it to you, because we got to keep it real. During the civil rights movement with Dr. King and when black people were marching for their rights, when black people would go into restaurants or dining establishments to do sit-ins, that was illegal for you to do that. That was illegal for black folks to do that. You were not allowed to do that. When you would march in the streets, when you would do sit-ins, and there were black people who actually did go into white-only churches and demonstrated, and they were seen as, just like Donald Trump is saying to people, that's a terrorist, that's a vagrant, get him out of here. So let's keep that in mind, that even though I personally don't like the idea of people coming in and disturbing a church, but during the civil rights movement, black people did the same. And I'm not trying to say these people are these white folks or these folks that's out there protesting, that their protest is the same as black people, because we were catching dogs and all kind of things were happening to our ancestors. And we were also getting deleted by police with billy clubs and firearms. But we got to keep it in perspective. During the civil rights movement, everything that Dr. King did was considered a disturbance to the status quo. Why you think they had to take his life, take him out of here? Because he was disturbing the status quo. I just want to got to keep it in perspective.
So right now it's kind of mayhem in here. And there are some folks here who are praying. Some of the members are chronicling, and it's a surprise effort, obviously, and the folks here are not happy about it. And so they're trying to figure out what to do about it. That's the lead pastor over there with the thing. And I don't know if he's the one that works for us. We don't know. That's what they're saying. So we're here just chronicling and reporting. We're not part of the activists, but we're here just reporting on.
So right there, Don Lemon has clearly said in the video that he was not part of the protest. I actually watched this video live when Don Lemon went live from the church. And I can say with pure confidence that Don Lemon was not associated with the people that were protesting. When he was driving there in the snow, because it was snowing pretty bad that day, he got a tip that there was going to be a protest there. And so he went there to cover it. Now, you could say, well, that's disrespectful of Don Lemon to do that. He goes into a church where people are trying to pray. So why would he go into a church where people are trying to pray and disturb the people in this church by walking in there in his arrogance and trying to get a story? Now, you could say that's kind of ratchet to be chasing after a story, but I think it's kind of ratchet at the same time for a baby, this baby right here, which you're going to hear more about, to get tear gassed, as well as his siblings and a black FBA family. For those of you out there that say, well, foundational black people are getting impacted by this ICE situation. This baby got impacted by this situation because of the pastor of this church that they went there to protest for. I'm putting it in context for you. I'm centering around this child because you're going to see a video that breaks it down. Let's go.
I'm not with. I'm just.
And you can clearly see that Don Lemon emphasized again that he's not with the people protesting. He's simply there to report on why they're protesting against this man right here. Easter, I think is his name. You're going to hear more about him. He was there to protest against this man right there. Let's continue.
So
he was there to report why they were protesting against that man. Let's get that correct.
This is what the First Amendment is about the freedom to protest.
Right, freedom of protest. And this is why Georgia was there. And I already read to you the First Amendment right. Congress shall make no laws respecting establishment of religion, prohibiting the free exercising thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press. I just want to emphasize that one more time, y'all.
Sure, people here don't like it, but protests are not comfortable. And there are people here who are, I'm looking at a young man who's in the corner. He's frightened.
He's angry.
Scared. He's crying. People are leaving church.
See, that's bad. This is where they were this is where the conservatives are saying that, hey, they tried to lump Don Lemon into that situation that, hey, there were children in the church that were crying. And I'm going to say this right now. That's a bad look. That's a bad look for kids to be in church with their family crying because they got disturbed. It was a disturbing situation. Whether I agree with it or not, it's disturbing. But like I said, black people during the civil rights movement, they made white people very uncomfortable when they went into white establishments and held their ground. That's what black Americans had to do in this country. And I think that's why sometimes we may have a chip on our shoulder about how immigrants and other people that come here treat us because our forefathers paid a heavy price.
Tell the truth.
Let's continue. And I have another video for you.
So, yeah. The guy standing up now saying, get out of there. He's screaming. They're trying to calm him.
I want to stop it right there. The guy he was talking about that was screaming. You can look at this very logically and say he had every right to scream and tell those people to get out because it was his church and he felt disturbed. Even though they came there to out one of the pastors of the church who is involved, is an ICE agent and is a coordinator of all the shit that's been going on out there in Minneapolis. So there are two things going on here that are opposing each other. One, you have the right to your freedom of speech, but they also have a right to assemble in their church and not be disturbed. So it's a double-edged sword here. Okay. As a result of this, Miss Georgia was dragged into this whole thing because she was there trying to get answers, trying to report on what was happening. And she was not a part of the protest. And we're going to get to her in just a moment. But I want to talk about this sister right here, who I believe is a lawyer, she said, and a pastor herself. And let me let you hear what she had to say. And I got some of her interview when she was with Laura Coates on CNN. But let me let you hear a little bit of what she had to say right here. Check this out.
Someone who is directing ICE agents to wreak havoc upon our community and who killed Renee Good, who almost killed a 6-month-old baby. Enough is enough.
That 6-month-old baby is this baby right here. I told y'all I come with it. So you may say they was wrong for going into the church, but damn it, on the other flip side of this is that I can kind of understand. See, I'm conflicted here, y'all. I can kind of understand why that sister wanted to do that protest because a 6-month-old child right here was impacted by the individual that runs that's one of the pastors in that church who was involved in coordinating what happened to this child that night, who is now a little bit older on this picture right here. And this is, at the end of the day, we have to be honest and say that whether you agree, look, I got to keep it real. This man right here, Donald Trump, is the common denominator to all the crazy stuff that's going on. I'm going to say again, if people are here illegally and they're criminals, then you definitely arrest the criminals. But why are we arresting children? Why are we arresting women trying to drive to their damn doctor's appointment? Why are we putting hands on citizens? I'm not talking about the citizens that are getting up in their face, but we're even seeing people that's just driving their car And for whatever reason, they get snatched out of their car because ICE has created some type of blockade on the street. And people are just driving and saying, I'm trying to get out of here. And then while they're trying to get out of here, they're getting snatched up. And even if Alex Preddy had a weapon on him, which he never pulled out on the cops, he showed them a cell phone. And anybody out there that says, I don't know what I'm talking about, I got so much video footage on what that happened with that dude. I'm going to do a damn video on this channel about it. I was going to put it on my political channel. I think I'll put it on this channel. I got so many angles. You guys have seen the angles. You got so many things that contradict him. He got shot 10 times, not 5 times. There was 2 ICE agents that shot him. And I think it might be a vindictive reason why they did it, because why? 11 days ago, he kicked their tail light. Now, should he have kicked their tail light? No. Should you be shot and taken out of here because you kicked the tail light? Hell no. You can clearly see they took the weapon out of his holster and then popped him 5 times, but it was actually 10 times because there were 2 of the ICE agents that popped their firearms. I just wanted to say that. Let me come back to Laura Coates' report here and get some more perspective.
Someone who is directing ICE agents to wreak havoc upon our community and who killed Renee Good, who almost killed a 6-month-old baby.
Right there, that's the baby.
That was Don Lemon interviewing one of the organizers of the protest at a Minnesota church as the event was unfolding. Nakima, Levy Armstrong. And tonight, she and Lemon are co-defendants in the federal case against those protesters. Lemon says that he was there in his capacity as a journalist. And Armstrong says the protest was nonviolent and lawful dissent. Calling the charges against her trumped
up. So you see what's happening there. Now, let me show you Don Lemon, which I thought Don Lemon was, like I said, Don Lemon was chasing a story. And because he was chasing a story, this is how he got caught up in this, because Donald Trump does not like Don Lemon. They got history because Don Lemon has been one of his biggest critics over the years. So over the years, Don Lemon has criticized Trump, and Trump has never liked the criticism from when Don Lemon was on CNN. So I think a lot of what happened to Don Lemon was because Donald Trump, as you can see, he's going after people. The reason why he sent feds to Georgia, to Fulton County, because Fulton County is a black county in Atlanta, Georgia. If you notice, when Donald Trump lost the election, most of the counties that he claimed cheated him out of the election were counties that had high levels of black people. Don't tell me that he's not a racist. 1, Philadelphia. He claimed the election in Philadelphia wasn't legitimate because it was in a black district. 2, he claimed that the election in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which has a high black population, he claimed that was fraudulent. He claimed that in Georgia, that it was fraudulent when he was calling around trying to get more votes because Fulton County is in a black district. It's not a coincidence that he's going to a black district. He ain't going after other districts that are mostly white. And I don't give a damn about him cozying up to Nicki Minaj. She needs to be, in my opinion, deported.
Tell the truth.
Because she's already come out and admit what she is. And the funny thing about it, while she was sitting up there buck dancing and raccooning for the man, as well as the turning point, turned out that Charlie Kirk didn't even like her. Didn't think she was good for even the black community.
Tell the truth.
So Donald Trump is a vindictive individual. Everything he's doing is to flood the zone. You notice that all this shit started happening when those Epstein files came out and people were saying, hey, they didn't release all the Epstein files, but we got a little juice here. Then all of a sudden he floods the zone with the attack on Venezuela. He takes out Maduro, but keeps the other people in that were part of his regime. He pardons Juan Hernandez. Did y'all know that? He pardoned Juan Hernandez, a drug dealing leader of Honduras. gives them a pardon. What's that all about? We know that Bill Gates and we know that Elon Musk lied and said he had nothing to do with what was happening with Epstein. And come to find out, we got documents showing that he was talking about flying a plane to the island and talking to Epstein about, oh, so you're having a party. Oh, I'm going to do that on this channel, damn it. Let's get back. I'm just laying it out for you. This is the type I'm not prepared to defend this type of individual or his creepy administration. I'm not defending his creepy administration. Hell no. I'm with Pastor Gino on this. He's a petty. He's a creep. And the Republican whores and the Democrat whores, y'all let this happen. And the white folks that voted for him at 59% men, about 54% white women. And for those of y'all who said, well, 21% of black men. No, 21% of black men that voted for this fool. Guess what? I hate to bust y'all bubble. Even Yvette Carnell talked about this on her channel. The majority of those 21% of black men that voted for Trump, they weren't even black Americans born here. They were immigrant Negroes. Deal with that. And if anybody wants to question my stats, I'll drop my resource and I'll drop the stats in my community tab so you can see it. Because it came from legitimate sources. Now, let's get back to this. Let me show you some more of this situation. Whether you like Don Lemon or not does not matter. What matters is if they could do this to him, they could come for us. Here he is talking to one of the pastors of the church. And check this out.
And they obviously have not left. So.
What do you think of this?
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks
I have to take care of my flock.
Now, do you agree with the pastor? This is not the pastor that they're protesting. The guy that they're protesting is the other pastor with the bald head you hear here. You're going to hear more about him in this video. Just be patient. I got a good compilation breakdown for you. What's going on, brother Yalpo? Yalpo's been working on some beautiful things, y'all. I'm going to be promoting a video with brother Yalpo, who's a incredible man, very talented. We're working on Saturday morning black cartoons. I'll be featuring those cartoons on this channel, giving an exclusive interview I'll have with him. We're going to get brothers like my brother Q Butter, who has the Zynex institution. We're going to try to make a commercial for him. We're going to try to get him on here on the channel so that he can see this brother's works. Y'all wait until y'all see what brother Yalpo's got for you. Legitimate. We bringing back Saturday morning cartoon style. Black style. What's going on, Naps? I see you in the chat room. Now, I'm calling out people who claim that they FBA because that's all the talk on these social media streets, that if you're claiming all of that, then you can't like what happened to this young child right here. A black American child. Now, I'm going to say again, I'm past all the bullshit. Black people need to unite and work together, not against each other. Because what's happening in this country is that white folks are working in their best interest. They already know that their birth rates are going down. They're concerned for their genetic survival. Didn't Millie Fuller Jr. tell us this? Didn't Sister Dr. Francis Crescent Wilson tell us this? I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce the name, the best. I'm trying to think here. We need to be working together because Donald Trump and his rich white folks, they're consolidating their power. They're changing the structure. Didn't Public Enemy tell us the fear of a black planet? They're doing what they're doing because America is becoming more black, and yes, it's becoming more brown. And they're concerned about where they stand in this world. White folks already know that they are a minority in the world. So everything that Trump is doing with his Make America, I say again, mantra, is that he's trying to eliminate us. Didn't I tell you that Trump allowed Elon Musk, who's a creep just like him, in the Epstein files, we're finding out he's a liar and a creep. Didn't I tell you that he allowed Elon Musk to go in there and destroy federal jobs? A lot of black women and black people had those federal jobs. That means your aunt, your mama. I got a video for you I'm going to be posting where these black women are now talking about how they've been impacted. Any Negro, any black man, any black person on these social media streets that don't give a damn about what happened to black women losing jobs, you're sick. If you don't care about what happened to these black women that I'm gonna make a video about. Because that could be your mama, that could be your aunt, that could be your uncle or someone of that nature. These women have been devastated. We already don't have enough black wealth. And these are black women that had good paying jobs. And unless you are prepared to help these women, I don't want to hear your criticism of them. Now, the pastor here is right that he should not have to deal with people disturbing his church. This is the pastor, one of the pastors, but not the one that they were protesting against. But let's hear what Don Lemon is saying to him. He's right about that, but at the same time, protest ain't about letting people feel comfortable.
Listen, we live in there's a constitution in the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I'm going to be very respectful. Please don't push me, though.
We're here.
Don Lemon said, I'm going to be very respectful, but please don't push me, though. Don said, don't you put your hands on me. Don was like, I'm a buck up on you. Don't you put your... Don said, don't you put your...
Here to worship Jesus. Yeah. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay. That's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Don't you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
and love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them as a
no
Christian?
one is willing to talk.
Okay.
See, this is the thing that's interesting. This is the dichotomy. Don Lemon is correct that if Jesus was walking the earth, he would have compassion. Even if you are a supporter of what ICE is doing, removing people, you damn well better understand Jesus wouldn't agree with none of this. Because all you got to do, if you're a person that believes in Jesus, and I don't want to get all biblical here, you would know that Jesus, when he walked the earth, he never accepted this kind of stuff. Jesus went into the church and knocked over the chains when they were gambling in the church. Jesus didn't agree with this type of treatment of people. Jesus would not be in agreement. And you can make an argument if Jesus was walking around today protesting against this himself, that he would be arrested as well. Uh-oh, did I say that? Did I say that Jesus? Yes, he would be arrested by Donald Trump's administration, locked up, and throw away the key. Because why is it that Jesus, not to get religious on you, why is it that Jesus was sacrificed? Why was he taken, tortured by the Roman Empire? Because why? Jesus went against the authority. And isn't Trump the authority? He's the president. His administration's in power. I'm sorry if I'm pulling at y'all heartstrings here. I'm sorry if I'm making y'all think a little bit, using some critical thinking skills, because if Jesus was alive today, Trump administration would shut him down. Just like the Roman Empire shut him down when Jesus was trying to do what? Spread the word. Help the sick, help the downtrodden. He even hung out with the pimps and the whores of the day. He wasn't hanging out with nobody rich, billionaires. So the same government today will be just the same government as yesterday that took Jesus' life. Can't nobody argue with where I'm coming from. So this is why it is hypocrisy to have people in church and have pastors who don't speak out against what's going on, even if we agree with what's going on. I mean, even if I agree that illegal should be deported, even if I agree that if you are illegal and you got a criminal background, you should be deported. Even if I believe that, if you're following the word of God, then you're in conflict with that because Jesus did work with criminals. Matter of fact, once again, I'm getting too religious here. Once when he was put up on the cross, or what we believe was a cross, because there's some that say that the Romans didn't torture people with crosses, but that's a whole nother video. Weren't we told that he had two criminals right next to him, and those criminals were able to gain the kingdom of heaven because they believed in Jesus? They gave their will to him. They submitted to him. They asked for forgiveness for their crimes and transactions. I'm just telling the truth here. On this Sunday morning or day or afternoon, wherever you are, let's go back to the preacher.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I asked that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
Yeah.
We're here to worship. Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So that's one of the pastors of the church. And it's kind of loud, so I can't hear him. But they're still there. And then, pardon me, sir. Sorry.
So right here, Don Lemon is being very polite. They made sound like Don Lemon just went in there and went ruckshop. He's very polite. He had a little exchange with the pastor, but then told the pastor, hey, don't push me. But as he's walking around and reporting what's going on, he's saying, excuse me. He's being polite. Even if you don't like him being in that church, because I am going to lie to y'all, I do think it's self-serving of Don Lemon to be in this church doing what he's doing because he's looking for a story, right? That's what but then that's what journalists do. They look for the big story, right? The big splash. They're looking for the big story. That's just the truth. Like I said, I'm conflicted in this situation because I can see both sides in their people that are in this church being upset about them being in there. But then I can also understand some of the feelings of the people in the church after knowing that a child was impacted by the leader of the church, or one of the leaders that's a pastor, that was responsible for this child being tear gassed. A black child. You know, they don't care about black people. So why would they care about a black child? Let's go to the next video and let you see this. Now, this is him getting into a back and forth with a guy in the church who's very upset, which he should be because it's his church. But let's hear the exchange.
Would go inside of anybody's house.
Well, this is a house of God.
Which makes it everybody's house.
Yes, it is. But in a house, people don't yell at each other.
Yeah, but there's a lot of yelling in my house growing up. We still love each other.
Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean that yelling is the answer, right?
I'm sorry?
It doesn't necessarily mean yelling is the answer, right?
No, but I think that's the way you work things out, is that you talk to each other, you disagree. Sometimes it's heated, sometimes it's not. But at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And I think
the guy had a good point. And then I think Don Lemon had a good point because he says, hey, this is our house. This is our house. You came into our house and you disrespected our house. That's true. And at the same time, Don Lemon said, well, you have disagreements in your house, but we can all come out and love each other. So Don Lemon made a good point, but the guy also made a good point because it's his church. It's not Don Lemon's church. Even though you should say all churches should be for everybody. We know damn well that there's different, types of churches that speak to certain different people's beliefs, non-dominant, there's all different churches. You got the Catholic Church, you got the Baptist Church, First Baptist, Second Baptist, Third Baptist. Why y'all think you got a Second and Third Baptist, folks? Yeah, the First Baptist. First Baptist was for white folks. The Second and Third Baptist, that's the churches that black people were allowed. See, they've been discriminating in even churches for years because black people weren't allowed to be in the First Baptist Church because that was the church for white folks. Tell me I'm lying. If you ever wonder why you got all these different, denominations, because somebody didn't agree with somebody. Somebody said, I don't want music in the church. That's why you got different churches like Episcopalian. That's why you got different churches, some churches that play music, some churches that have a church choir, some that don't, because there were some people who didn't believe in having music in the church because they believed it was the devil's playground. And then black people were segregated out of these churches. Then the one man that they took the life of, Nat Turner, was realizing that the Bible that they gave him to teach black people on them plantations was the slave Bible, in which they deleted stuff out of that Bible to make black people think we were meant to be slaves. And then he rose up and said, let me rise up. That's a protest, y'all. Nat Turner rose up with other black folks and went from plantation to plantation and took people's lives. And what he did was considered illegal because he was a slave. That's protest for that time. That was revolution for that time. And then, of course, when they found Nat Turner, they grinded up his bones and did horrible things to him. I think just a couple, 5-6 years ago, I did a video on it. His family got his skull. They still had his skull somewhere, holding on to the black man's skull. Woo! Let me let y'all hear this. This is the Mrs. Strong. She's the one that really was the leader of this. Oh, let me let you hear this last exchange he had with a member of the church. Here we go.
Can I talk to you, sir? What do you think of this?
While I agree with everybody's freedom to protest, these people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. Mm-hmm. This is a house of peace, and we try to proclaim that. And this stirs division and rancor. And in the end, it's not helpful. Ultimately, I believe they've lost. They've emptied a house of worship. Everybody's gone home. Their point has been proven worthless. And so, in the end, I think they lose. But more importantly, if I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, cause derision and upset according to their values, I would be kicked out ultimately. It's not a good way.
Now, no matter what you feel, everybody, you cannot deny that the man, he's making a valid point. If I was to break into someone's house or go into someone's house and cause a disturbance, they're going to call the police on me and get me the hell out. Maybe he's being a little hyperbolic because we know damn well nobody's going to be going in people's houses like this. In this case, a church, in the sense that they went into a church. But he does have a point to a certain degree. But then again, as I said earlier in the show, during the civil rights movement, you had black people who did the same thing. They went and disturbed white churches. They went to the courtrooms. They went to public places and did demonstrations that were seen at that time as illegal, especially for black people. We cannot deny that.
I feel violated. I feel interrupted. I feel
Thank you.
Angry.
May I ask you something? When you were saying if you had showed up at their house, they're saying that people are showing up at houses where they're citizens or without due process and breaking and entering the house. One that we saw, I've been watching from New York.
Information man, we at MBK, New Black Knowledge. Love your commentary. Just to mention, the Nat Turner just made me terribly. I understand, brother. It's a horrible what they did to that brother. But I bring it up because, like I said before, whether you disagree with what ICE is doing or you agree with what ICE is doing, we cannot dismiss the fact that there have been protesting in this country for decades, for years, centuries, right? For years. And Nat Turner, what he did at that time was he bucked the system, and they saw what he did was a violation of the system. That's why they hunted Nat Turner down and crushed him up when they got their hands on him. we have to recognize that was a demonstration. Everybody in the chat room that's here, I appreciate you. I see you. We got Jay, the informant. Empress Goddess is in the house. Alicia is here. We got my man, the guy from Texas. I recognize you. Mega 7K. I do believe in God, but I just don't believe everything the Bible says. I'm not here to tell you to believe everything that the Bible says. I'm simply saying what the Bible says. Now, what you want to believe is your own interpretation. What you want to believe and not believe, that's up to you. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm simply telling you the hypocrisy of this church, this city church in Minneapolis is a hypocrisy because they have a pastor working there that's involved in ICE, and he was involved in creating a situation that a 6-year-old black child was harmed. No, not 6 years old, 6 months. A 6-month-year-old child was harmed. And I'm simply saying is if he was truly following what the Bible says, whether you believe it or not, he would not be involved in such a thing. That's just on that strength. Whether we believe or not, what's going on, Sister Pretty Minnie is in the house. Blessing to you too, sister. Blessing to everybody. Black Anonymous, thank you. Black Anonymous, I will be doing a video, getting back to the Umar Johnson stuff, I will be doing a video when Marianne interviewed that guy that was doing Umar's hair, and that dude cut off that interview with her because she was asking him some questions. I'm going to do a critique of that. I'll be dropping that video soon. I got so much shit to drop. I got so much videos to do for y'all folks, and I ain't got enough time, ain't enough hours in the day for me to stay awake producing them. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to put some videos out. I got to see if I can crank out at least 2 to 3 videos this week. Woo! I'm going to try my best within my schedule. Now, let's get back to this because I got so much more to show you.
The battering ram into someone's private property, and there's no recourse. There's no, you understand what I'm saying?
This is all part of a much larger dialogue, in my opinion. On one side, the people who watch a previous administration bring 12 million people in over the course of 4 years, and many of them undocumented, many of them criminals, etc.
All right, you can see there's a lot going on there. That man is pissed off, and we gotta be fair. He does have a right to feel the way that he feels, but if you know anything about protesting is not designed to be convenient. Protesting is not designed to make you comfortable. Protesting is about making people uncomfortable and making the system uncomfortable.
Tell the truth.
Whether we like what's going on or not out here, whether we fall with ICE or not, that's just the truth. Now, let me let you hear with the Miss Strong, who was the activist, who was the one who was arrested. Remember, they arrested her. She looked very stoic. And then it was the White House. You see, this shows you how deep it goes. Damn it, and I should have had those pictures for illustration for y'all. But y'all, let me show you this. Maybe I'll put it in the community tab as well. They took a picture of her. She looked very stoic. She wasn't crying, nothing. Then it was the people in the White House who turned around and made a picture of her where she was crying and looking fearful. That was a computer, an AI generated. It was a lie. Guess who generated that picture of her? It was the White House under this man right here, the creep himself, Donald Trump, who's all up in them files. They talking about he messing around allegedly with a 13-year-old girl, sticking his fingers in children's you-know-whats. That's what came when they released more of those Epstein files. They effed up and released some other stuff that they probably forgot to didact on this sucker here. If you still a supporter of Trump, as more stuff is coming out about the sick individual, I don't know what to say. Because I played a video with Epstein when Epstein was in a deposition, and he was asked, have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of underage. And Epstein didn't want to answer that question. So he said, I'm going to have to plead the 5th and the 6th. As much as I want to answer that, I'm pleading the 5th and the 6th Amendment. He didn't want to answer it because it probably was true. So if y'all want to support a pedo, a PDF in the White House, go right ahead, because that speaks to your character. Because how can I sit up here and do videos about R. Kelly and get super views on that from black folks? How can I do a video about the stuff that Nature Boy was doing? Or I did a whole bunch of videos on Polite and what he did to a 14-year-old black child. And everybody was like, yeah, Polite is sick. Well, how can Trump not be sick? And we got white folks that he ran with, Epstein, who said, I plead the 5th. Can't answer that. If it wasn't true, then Epstein would have said, no, we never partied with underage girls. The fact that Epstein didn't want to answer the question and pled the 5th, by default, your Sith Lord President, Donald J. PDF President, is guilty as charged. Allegedly. Now, let me let you hear what this sister was saying, who's the one who said that it was the young baby that was impacted by what they did. He's a little bit older now, but he was 6 months right here. Check this out.
Serves as a pastor right here at City's Church. So if you Google City's Church, you will see David Easterwood's name there.
David
if
Easterwood.
You Google him, you will also see him at a press conference that was held by C-SPAN, standing next to Kristi Noem. And also the lawsuit that was filed by the ACLU in December on behalf of 6 Minnesota residents that just went in front of Judge Melendez, and where she put an injunction against ICE for them being able to retaliate against peaceful protesters. His name is in those court documents, again, as the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul.
And a pastor.
That is unacceptable. How can you be a pastor of a church, but overseeing ICE agents in the field? We know that ICE agents just killed Renee Good. We know that they shot a Venezuelan nationalist. We know that they almost killed a 6-month-old baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we know that they also were involved, or at least one off-duty ICE agent was involved in taking the life of Keith Porter. And she talks about the baby right here. Let's play that back.
In the field. We know that ICE agents just killed Renee Good. We know that they shot a Venezuelan nationalist. We know that they almost killed a 6-month-old baby in North Minneapolis.
There it is, right there.
As well as terrorized their whole family of 6.
Now, for those of you out there that are wondering, like, well, why'd they go into church? Oh, they had no business going to church. Like I said, I'm conflicted because I think a church should be a place of peace, a place of worship, and it should not be disturbed. But I just wanted to give both perspectives. This is what motivated them to go into that church and do the protest. And I'm emphasizing, particularly as a black man, that a black child was impacted, not emphasized, but impacted by what they did. The child right here is not 6 months old, but the child was 6 months old when this happened. And this was tear gas that got in this child's eyes, affected this child. This child was in this shape right here. Look at this. I want to show you something right here. I just want to emphasize the truth. Look at the child right here. Right here. This little baby was impacted. So anybody that tells me, oh, black people are not being impacted by what ICE is doing, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. You could be out. They could ask you for ID. They could assume that you're not black, that you're not a citizen by your accent. They'll say, hey, you got an accent. Don't tell me that you can't be at least harassed or inconvenienced by these folks. Don't tell me that you can't. Remember this one right here? Watch. This is going to play a little bit of this.
Why the hell would I show random people my ID? You want to steal my identity? Where's your ID? Let me check if you're a U.S. citizen. How about that? Man, you guys better move on, man. Look at this motherfucker. A4. What kind of name is that? Alcohol 4? What's your initial? Right here. It ain't over there. You motherfucker back in shit. Why would I answer you? Why would I not be a citizen of this country, man? Are you a citizen? Why are you getting close? I can hear you. You can stand there. How come she got a GoPro and you got your a police issued body cam? What's going on with you guys? Why do I have what kind of shit is this? Dude, listen, I'm here working. You're working too, right? So go. It says U.S. Border Patrol. This is not the border. Go to the Canada border or the Mexico border.
If you were from
I'm working, dude.
If you were from this country,
What do you mean if I'm from this country?
I can hear you don't have the same accent as me. That's why I'm
Oh, so you're going by accents now?
Boom. Now, I'm going to be fair here. This brother is a Somali. He is a citizen. He's also an engineer, has more education than all of these individuals. He works doing Uber. There's a lot of people who got degrees in education who work Uber on the side for side hustle money. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because they went by his accent. You got tons of people in this country who have accents. You have people who are European, who have English accent. Would he say this to an English person that's from the UK? Would he have said this to a person that was a European from like Russia or Germany with their accent that are citizens here, right? So he says, because you don't sound like me, what is that? Sound like a white guy? Well, what are you trying to say? I just wanted to give you a little taste of that because people think that this stuff is not happening. Now, you could say, well, he's not FBA. He's not a black American. That don't matter to me. What matters to me is that they profiled him when he was not illegal, doesn't have a criminal background, and he put this on his social media to protect himself. That's what I'm looking at, is that they're violating the rights of people who ain't committing crime, who are not here illegally, that are just minding their own business. I don't care what you think about Somali people, whatever your issues or gripes are, that doesn't matter. What matters is that their operation and the way they're going about their business is very suspect. Now, let me go back to this video right here.
Had to send 3 of their children to the hospital, 2 of which had asthma, as they fired tear gas and flashbang grenades at the cars of innocent people.
Right.
We know that they drag people out of their cars, out of their homes. They drag pregnant women. They beaten and attacked immigrants and U.S. citizens. So how dare somebody claim to be a pastor while overseeing evil? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now you guys heard that pastor pray. Dear Lord, please chasten us to get our house in order. That was the perfect prayer for such a time as this.
So once again, whether you agree with ICE getting people out of here or not, you can't deny that there are some issues here. And I'm going to say this again. When it comes to the criminals, the people that are here illegally doing criminal activity, selling drugs, harming kids, the whole 9 yards, have criminal records, they need to be deported. Yes, I agree. A person that's been here for 40, 30, whatever years, and they don't have documentation on them, they're not here on a work situation, that they're not a productive person to society, but they simply are here and not doing anything and haven't gotten themselves together, then they put themselves at jeopardy at being deported. But when they're messing with citizens of this country, whether they're immigrants or not, I don't care. Whether they're black American or immigrant American, whatever, if they're here as a citizen, they have legitimacy to be here. They are a citizen. They were born here. They should not be harassed. And I know someone out there going to say, well, it's because you got people following the ICE and harassing. I'm talking about people who ain't even following ICE, ain't even doing nothing to ICE, that just walking down the damn street and ICE rose up on them. That brother that you just saw there, yes, he's Somali. And yes, there was some fraud that happened in Minnesota, Minneapolis, but you can't demonize all Somali people. That brother that was right there, he was minding his own business, didn't do anything. They came up on him. Let me let y'all see this video. This will put some things in perspective right here. Check it out. Listen.
Extremists are vying to control the center of the country. Protests sparked by calls for justice devolve into...
This is the man that they went there to protest against, who works for ICE, but now he gets on the pulpit and tries to be like he's a spiritual man. Hear it again. Let me pull this back from the beginning. Oh, and let you hear it from the beginning. Here we go.
Week after Renee Good's death, a family of 8 were trying to get home from their son's basketball game when they got caught in the middle of ICE and protesters. It was nighttime and hard to see. An ICE agent yelled at them, "Get the fuck out of here." The parents said, "We're trying."
Black
Before
people.
they knew it, ICE had thrown a tear gas canister under their car. As it went off, their car lifted up and slammed to the ground. All the airbags deployed and their locks auto-locked, trapping them inside. Tear gas filled their car and the family couldn't see. The parents tried to feel their way around the car and were finally able to unlock a door, getting all of their kids out except for the 6-month-old infant who was trapped in his car seat. Protesters rushed over to help, and the family was ushered inside a community member's house for protection. Someone finally got the baby out of his car seat, and when he was given to his mother, Destiny Jackson, his eyes were closed and he wasn't breathing. She said he had foam around his mouth and looked lifeless. Destiny quickly began giving him CPR, while good Samaritans poured milk on the other children's eyes. Their oldest child was only 11. The baby wasn't responding. Destiny told her 6-month-old, "Wake up, you..."
Empress Goddess, this was a white pastor. I get what you're saying, what you just put in the chat room, but no, this is a white pastor who did this. This was a white pastor. Just want to emphasize that. This was a white guy.
Have to. She would later tell news outlets she knew she was going to give him every breath she had. He eventually opened his eyes and began breathing. He, along with 2 of her other children with asthma, were taken by ambulance to the hospital. Meanwhile, the man who helped oversee and orchestrate this chaos against his own fellow citizens was getting up on his high pulpit and preaching.
There it is. This man right here. He orchestrated what happened to that child that night. I need y'all to understand that. He orchestrated. This is, so when you look at this situation with Don Lemon getting arrested and being blamed for causing a disturbance in the church when he went there to report, but when people are talking about the protesters being unruly, this is the reason why they went there that night, whether you agree or disagree. And this man orchestrated what happened to that black child that night and all the other things that happened while getting up in his pulpit and saying this sort of stuff and evoking the name of Dr. King. Listen.
Political extremists are vying to control the center of the country. Protests sparked by calls for justice devolve into riots across the nation's cities. Cultural and countercultural forces are pulling in opposite directions. Racial tensions are thick in the air, and American life is fractured, assuming it was ever whole. Early in the tumult of the decade, a pastor stood on the National Mall in Washington, D.C.
Here we go.
And told the crowd of a dream for the country, of justice and equality before the law.
You notice that they always go to the Dr. King dream speech because that speech is not as threatening. But nobody talks about the other speeches that Dr. King gives when he got tired of the system, when he got tired of being freaking tired. Nobody talks about, no one wants to go to the video where Dr. King says, when we come to Washington, we're going for our reparations. No one wants to focus on the fact that King talked about how Europeans came over here and they got land grants and set-asides. But black folks didn't get that. We got stepped over. What did I say in the beginning of this video? Immigration has never been a benefit to black people. Even back then when Europeans came here and got land grants, as I said before, and got all kind of set-asides over black people that were here before them.
and of unity before Almighty God. More than
That's
50
why they
years
deleted them. You're
removed
right.
from that decade, one may scan the American landscape and say, "'Twas just a dream, Brother Martin."
See, here we go with the Brother
Just a
Martin
dream.
stuff. Just a dream, but you affected a black child that night. You affected a child, but now you sitting up here evoking the name of Dr. King. You see the hypocrisy?
Tell the truth.
See, nobody's gonna give you nobody. I know nobody on the YouTube streets are doing a story about this Don Lemon situation in Georgia for the way I'm doing it. The perspective that I'm coming from. I know nobody's doing it on these YouTube streets. Make sure y'all share this video in all your social media.
There's plenty to make one wonder if there can ever be true unity in diversity. I have good news for you. It is possible.
For the protesters, Pastor David wasn't just a contradiction. He was the breaking point. According to Christian doctrine,
here we go.
Jesus was a figure who defended the persecuted, overturned systems of exploitation by literally flipping tables in temples, and stood with those that society had cast aside.
That's true.
According to the book
If you
they
believe
hold
it.
sacred, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33 through 34 states, "When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt." But you see, David Easterwood is the white nationalist type of Christian, the kind whose hypocrisy causes people to flee the church and turn others into proud atheists. He's the kind of Christian who pretends Jesus was blue-eyed with white skin, because
Fact, we know he wasn't. Here we go.
honest, he would have to face the fact that the same people he snatches off the streets and puts in camps look a lot like the guy he pretends to worship.
Right. Facts. Isn't that interesting, y'all? Now, let's go down memory lane. And remember I said that a lot of the stuff that you see going on today, whether you disagree with the protest or just who they're protesting for, we have to remember when black people were going through the civil rights movement, black people in this country did things that were seen as against the law and did not make white folks feel very comfortable. Case in point.
ICE defended its conduct in court using sworn statements from Pastor David himself, despite his absence from the scenes that triggered the lawsuits. His resume told the rest of the story. He joined ICE in 2015 as a deportation officer. Throughout the years, he received several promotions. By 2022, he became the assistant field office director. By 2024, he was acting director for a region spanning multiple states. From the pulpit, he preached compassion. From his desk, he approved enforcement that tore families apart. City's Church traces its roots to a broader evangelical network that emphasized authority, hierarchy, and submission, so-called Baptist values. The protesters weren't there to vandalize. They weren't there to threaten. They were there to interrupt comfort, because comfort, in this case, came at someone else's expense. What the protesters did is just
here we go with the
old-school
history.
Civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is the nonviolent breaking of laws or rules that are considered unjust in order to expose their immorality and force change. The goal is to create a moral crisis so the public and those in power are forced to confront injustice. Before the civil rights movement, Black people were ignored by the courts, their peaceful requests were
This is
dismissed,
facts.
and violence and intimidation against non-whites were routine. The civil rights movement sought to upend the injustice with civil disobedience. That meant sitting where you were forbidden to sit.
Remember I said that? This is an example. These are footage. It was illegal for black people to go into a whites-only diner or establishment and do what they did. This would be considered by if Donald Trump was in charge back then, what do you think he would have done? Same thing he did to Don Lemon, whether you like Don Lemon or not. He would have had you arrested. And in those days, they could hang you, they could torture you, they could do all kind of stuff to you.
Walking where you were forbidden to walk, and entering buildings you were barred from. The movement caused economic pressure through boycotting. People overwhelmed public spaces with marches. People willingly got arrested and refused bail so they could overcrowd the jails, thus causing more eyes and awareness on their movement. Activists would enter segregated white churches, walk to the front, and kneel to pray or sit quietly as a direct challenge to racial exclusion.
Didn't I just say that this situation in City Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota is nothing new. During the civil rights movement, Dr. King and many protesters at that time, they would go into white churches and do what would be considered a disturbance. And that's why I said I'm in conflict, because I think that church should be a place of peace and not a place of politics and nonsense. But the reality is that, again, protest is not designed to make you feel comfortable, make me feel comfortable. Protest is to cause a disturbance to get forth a point about an issue that people are concerned about, to shake up the system. That's really what protest was really designed to be for. And it was the same even during the civil rights movement. Continue.
Many were refused communion, physically removed, or arrested for trespassing. This became known as the kneel-in movement in the early 1960s. These
kneel-in movement
forced church congregations to confront segregation in a place claiming moral authority. People also intentionally disrupted courthouses, businesses, and political events. Why?
Like I said,
because injustice was being protected by polite silence and pearl clutchers.
What I say? They disturbed businesses. They disturbed civic unions. They went to courthouses. They went to anywhere that would cause a stir. You saw the cop leading the brother out. This was all part of demonstrating. So anybody that says that what they did going into the church has never been done before, that's not true. Whether we agree with it or not is not what matters. Is that has been a historical part of protest that black people employed. We got to keep that in mind. I'm going to say again, if you got a person here that's illegally here and they're a criminal, they need to be deported. If you got people here that don't have their paperwork in order, they be BSing around for years living in this country and never got their paperwork in order, I'm afraid they're going to have to go. People that are here legally should not have to go through this because they're here legally. Another thing that ICE is doing under Donald Trump, the Sith Lord himself, he's like a character out of a Star Wars movie.
Tell the truth.
Is that ICE is now talking about that they don't need to even knock at your door. They can just bust in your door and go in your house and bust in your door. And no warrants. Technically, they're supposed to have a warrant, even though they're saying they don't need a warrant. And remember, I told you that a lot of these white supremacists that's in ICE, a lot of these individuals are Boogaloo Boys. I'm still going to be doing that video at some point in time, but a lot of them are members of the Boogaloo Boys, the the Proud Boys, the Oaths Keepers, and all types of white nationalist groups. That's why they're wearing these masks. They don't want to be identified, because if it comes down to them going to court one day, they don't want anybody to be able to identify who they are, because the police on the streets, they don't wear masks like this. It's just a question that you got to think critical, folks. I don't think one of the things on YouTube, we don't have enough critical thinking type of program. We have a lot of entertainment, but we need more critical thinking.
Nonviolent disruption was the point, and it made the people committing the injustice and their enablers deeply uncomfortable, but they also couldn't look away. As Martin Luther King Jr. put it, unjust laws lose legitimacy when they contradict basic human dignity.
All right. We're getting close to conclusion, everybody. I want to thank you all for being here, hanging in here with me. We got Bonnie Rose is in the house, and everyone likes and share. Yeah, definitely. It's the way we fight it. Share the video in your social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, whatever. But I'm telling you, there's going to be an attack on those of us on YouTube who are going to be speaking out against what's going on that we don't like. Like I said, if you go to TikTok, they're already censoring you on TikTok. If you say anything that goes against Trump, if you disagree with anything that's about Trump, because of the guy that owns TikTok now is a Trumper. Everybody was making all this noise about China owning TikTok. But prior to prior to American billionaire getting TikTok, people were making money off of TikTok. Now people not getting the same views on TikTok. Now people are getting their channels snatched and depressed. Now people can't make the money that they were making on TikTok that were making content off of TikTok. Because now you got a billionaire who's greedy and he's changed the algorithms and they're now making it harder for you to make a living or to make some side hustle money off of the TikTok. And if you got anything to say against Israel, you got anything to say against Trump, his administration, if you start talking about the Epstein situation, all of a sudden they get rid of your channel. They suppress you. They don't even want you being able to write the name Epstein in your chats because they're playing with the algorithm. Don't think that YouTube is not going to be the next platform that they may say, let's do the same thing to YouTube, because YouTube is a place where, for the most part, we can pretty much speak our mind within reason. But if they can do that to TikTok, as all of y'all was praising Trump because he was talking about he was going to save TikTok, this is what really happened. It was Joe Biden's administration. It was Joe Biden's narrow ass who originally had the idea to suppress and sell off TikTok, or to stop TikTok. But the Joe Biden administration didn't complete the transaction to end TikTok. So he left it in the hands of Donald Trump. Then Donald Trump used it to galvanize your support by saying, we gotta take TikTok from China and we gotta save TikTok. And now he helps one of his billionaire friends to get TikTok. Now you can't make no money on TikTok. While Donald Trump is making all kind of money with his meme coin, ripping people off. A damn president with damn meme coin? You can't make no money on TikTok no more because the billionaire is figuring out the billionaire is greedy. So what's happening now is you got another platform called Upscale. Go over to Upscale. Sign up for Upscale. I think I need to get rid of all my TikTok platforms. I haven't really done much on TikTok. I got a couple, things over there, but I haven't really done anything much on TikTok. But I'm thinking about shutting what I got down and going over to Upscale. Upscroll. It's called Upscroll, not Upscale. Upscroll. That's the place that a lot of people are going to now because you can't speak your mind on TikTok no more. They're taking the videos down, or they're making sure that a video that would got a lot of views gets no views. I'm telling you, again, this situation that happened to Don Lemon, don't look at it as, oh, I don't like Don Lemon. The hell with Don Lemon. He's a raccoon. He's a this or that. He's a buck dancer. Don't look at it as that. Don't get caught up in Don Lemon's sexuality. Get caught up in what they did to him as an independent media personality on YouTube. If they could do it to a guy that's getting all them views and has a known name, what make you think they can't come for somebody like myself and say, make sure that Information Man's channel gets no reach? We're already suppressing him as is. Let's suppress him some more. Matter of fact, let's snatch his channel down. Matter of fact, let's make sure that anybody that wants to do content on Donald Trump that's not favorable, or any content about this Epstein thing, let's make sure that those videos don't get no traction through the algorithm. YouTube already do it already. Have y'all ever done this experiment on YouTube? If you use the N-word, if you use the N-word in your video, those videos get monetized. If you talk about anybody else, they don't get monetized.
Tell the truth.
Let's talk about Sister Georgia. These are the guys that went to her house, right, to mess with her. Let's talk about this sister right here. She also was arrested and released, as I played the video earlier, and harassed by these agents. They sent the DEA, people who deal with drug enforcement, to her house. She ain't no drug dealer. This is crazy, y'all. Let me let you listen to this report from CNN, and we're going to get into the sister and her situation. Her and Don, is crazy. Check this Check this out.
More breaking news. We have just learned that another independent journalist who is very popular here and very well known here in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, Georgia Fort, has also been arrested. We have now seen video of her inside of her home telling us that there are FBI agents outside of her door demanding that she come out. She said that they said they had a warrant, that they had gone to a grand jury. So this is brand new breaking news. She is describing what is happening, saying that the federal agents say that they had a warrant, that there was a grand jury involved. She must come out to be arrested. She said that she spoke to her attorney. Her attorney advised her to go with them. And that is exactly what she did, and that she was taken to the Whipple building. So now there are two journalists who have been arrested by the FBI, by federal agents, after the incident that happened at a church where they were reporting on what was going on, taking video of what was going on when protesters made a move inside of a church where the pastor is a member of ICE and confronted him, disrupting the church service. You saw her there asking people questions. You also saw, of course, our colleague Don Lemon there.
Let me let y'all see something very disturbing. Let me preface this. They sent agents to this woman's house, disturbed her children, disturbed the peace of her home, claiming that they had a warrant for her arrest. But she said, let me see the warrant. They wouldn't show her the warrant as she was talking to them through her window. And they came to her house in the middle of the night. I think she lives kind of in a cul-de-sac kind of environment. And she's an independent media personality, very popular, as the lady said there, from CNN in the Minneapolis area. Let me let you see what they did. This was very scary. And if they could do this to her, this means they can do it to any of us, and they can do it to anybody who has an opinion about this administration and what's going on. Let's go. Because this is what this is really, by them going after Don Lemon, these well-known independent media people or people who were in the mainstream media, by them going after them, it sets the stage for them to come after even the rest of us on the lower scale. Let's go.
That's what we like to do expeditiously. Right.
Well, this is really scary. There's kids in the house. You guys have not been really friendly in the community. And to me, this seems a little, can I finish, sir? Can I finish? Can I finish?
Get your phone.
This seems a little bit aggressive to have all these cars in our cul-de-sac, 2, 3 agents, and now I saw the one disappear to the back. So
look, I want y'all to see this. This dude is peeking in like he Jason from a Halloween movie. This is weirdo stuff. Let me just move this up here. Look at right here. This man is peeking in their property like a creep. This is an ICE agent. And this is a woman who's legal. I thought y'all said that ICE only goes after the illegals. I thought y'all said that ICE don't mess with black folks. Here's a woman who just did a story as an independent media person, and they come to her house with the DEA with a whole bunch of agents. Let's continue this.
2, 3 agents, and now I saw the one disappear to the back.
Look at that.
So to me, this is a little aggressive to just serve a
Yeah, he's a creep. He's a creep looking in like that.
Slide the warrant. Let me see the warrant.
Let me see the warrant.
Okay. And that, to me, what I have been told, is not a judicial warrant that has me to have to open the door for you.
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. They're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to
Thank you,
go with
everybody, for
them.
being
I
here.
guess down to
Appreciate you.
and my children are here. They're impacted by this. This is all stemming from the fact that
See, look at her.
I
You can hear a child crying.
filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right.
Thank
as a
you,
member of
Jay, the
press,
informant.
because now federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest a few weeks ago. Again, I don't have a long time here, you guys, but I wanted you to know, for me, agents are at my door right now. My attorney has spoken with them. I did send a relative outside to talk to them. They're showing some type of documentation, apparently, that they got an indictment from a grand jury. I knew that I was on a defendant's list. I did not publish it because it was under seal. And so we've done everything that we can to try and abide by, the advice of our attorneys.
Thank you.
But right now, you guys, I wanted you to know I'm going to have to hop off here and surrender to agents as a member of the press. I filmed the church protest a few weeks ago, and now I'm being arrested for that.
So let me show you what I mean when I said that you had DEA at her door. Now, she says she sent a relative out there to talk to them. Let me show you this small little footage. It's like a 19-second footage. And I want you to clearly look at who they have out there. DEA, that's drug enforcement. Why do you have this type of federal agents giving her a basic warrant? Check this out.
So take her to test. That's what we like to do expeditiously. Right. Sure. But
I would have to send you the video.
Well, we can take a picture of it for you.
Look right there. You got DEA. You got three You got 3 agents out there, probably some more in cars, for one woman who everybody know who she is. She's in her home. She ain't running away, and she ain't illegal. It's crazy. The common denominator to all this stuff that's happening, I'm talking about to Americans, is Donald Trump. He's the common denominator to everything that's happening.
And you can send it.
That would be.
There we go. Crazy. Let me show you another video as we get close to conclusion. Let me show you her. This is a clip from when she was on the Anderson Cooper, who, used to have an internship with the CIA. Let's just keep it real.
Captured video of your own arrest, federal agents outside your home. Can you just talk about
Look at that creep
experience?
As journalists, we never want to be the story, but unfortunately, I did find myself in a predicament where I felt that I needed to be able to tell my own story, that I needed the world to see that journalism is on trial, that we are at a state in our nation where if you are documenting what's happening, you may be criminalized for it. You may be arrested. And so I think what is happening in Minnesota overall should be quite alarming to the entire nation. I think what happened to me today as an independent journalist, what happened to Don Lemon being arrested for reporting what's happening, I think people should be alarmed. And I think mainstream media should also be really concerned because if they can criminalize a journalist here in Minnesota, whether you're independent or not, I think that we've seen a track record where this is just going to continue to escalate.
You have no doubt that this is meant to intimidate not just yourself and Don Lemon and the others who were charged, but journalists everywhere.
I would ask you, How does it feel to you to see a journalist arrested for simply reporting the news? I would challenge every journalist in America to ask themselves how it felt to them today to see their colleagues be arrested for reporting the news.
That's the perspective there. My job is not to tell you how to think. I'm just laying out some of the facts. I'm laying out some critical analysis here. But I want people, when they make comment in this video, just give your opinion, what you feel, what you think about it. Now, even if you feel that Don Lemon was wrong and Miss Georgia Fort was wrong for going into that church, reporting on what was happening, you have the right to feel that way. Although we can say this, that we all have the right to our opinions, but we don't have the right to our own facts. And we can say, I disagree with them. I'm certainly in conflict here because I just think a church is a place that should not be disturbed. But the conflict is that when during the civil rights movement with Dr. King and those black folks that were out there protesting, guess what? Black people did go into white churches and disturb them. Black folks did go into white only businesses and disturb them. Black people did go into white city hall, okay, and disturb it. Black people took a knee, all sort of stuff, and places where they were illegally not supposed to be there. They were not supposed to be there because of how the country was at that time, as racist as America is, an apple pie. Okay, it's racism in America is like mom's apple pie. Now, remember the woman that I talked to you about that went in the church? She was the real person that led that protest in the church at City Church in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And she was recently on CNN with Laura Coates. And let me let you hear what she had to say right here. Check this out.
The DOJ is alleging that you and Don Lemon were part of a conspiracy to, their words, threaten and intimidate the people in that church. So I want to ask you point blank, did you coordinate with Don Lemon or Georgia Fort to be involved in this protest?
Hi, Laura. Absolutely not. As you can see, as the world can see, both Don Lemon and Georgia Fort were there as independent journalists documenting the protest. They're not organizers. They're not activists. They're not protesters. Beyond that, we know that the Department of Justice is not credible, as we just heard from the last segment regarding the Epstein files. And this is a healthy distraction from a president who has 34 felonies, who's been accused of rape, who we know lies to the public, and who looks for distractions and ways to target people who speak out against his authoritarian regime. So that is what this is about at the end of the day. We went to the church, we raised specific concerns about ICE pastor David Easterwood serving as a dual role as a pastor at City's Church, while also serving as the director of the ICE office in Minnesota, condoning the behavior of ICE agents who've wreaked havoc upon the streets of Minneapolis, upon our families, and upon our communities.
What do y'all think about that? Let me do something real quick before I get to our last video for today. Let's see. Let me see. Brother DOD, Trump is a 34-time conviction felon and a sexual assault abuser and a broad-faced liar and possibly a pedo or PDF. Yeah, and a war criminal. Right. And yeah, right. Good points. He could be any of those things. I'm not going to definitely the Empress deal. Let me see. Greetings, information man. Even Jesus turned over the tables in the temples. I'm not mad at the protesters exposing this ICE pastor. Yeah, I talked about that's what Jesus did, do some things that could be considered protesting. And I made the parallels that if Jesus was alive today, he would be arrested by the Trump administration, just as he was persecuted by the Romans, because the Roman Empire was the power of the day. You can't get around any of this, whether you're religious or not. Sister Creole is in the house saying, what if they weren't dressed or something like this? Now he's peeking in their house. Right. What if the children weren't dressed? What if the children were trying to get dressed? Now you got a peeping Tom ICE agent looking into the. Y'all saw it for yourself. Yalpo, Yalpo says they are definitely making examples out of them. Right. They're an example. And that's why I had to start this show with saying, whether you like Don Lemon or not, it doesn't matter what they're doing. And I think black people, we can't sleep on this. What they're doing to them, they could very well do to us on YouTube. You may say, oh, they ain't gonna mess with no new YouTuber. We don't have that much influence. Come on, they ain't gonna mess with us. We just doing these little videos over here and we gathering as a family, as a group. No, if we're saying things that they don't want us to say, they already suppress black content creators on YouTube as is. And if y'all don't believe what I'm saying about TikTok right now, go over there for yourself. On TikTok, they are hurting people's revenue. They are suppressing videos. And if you go to if you got a TikTok account, sooner or later, a little screen is going to pop up and it's going to say, we want you to agree for us to be able to have this information and that information. And they'll say, oh, it's because it's advertised. No, they want to be able to identify who you are so that if you speaking out against Trump or his Estapo, that they'll have GPS location on your butt. They'll have more additional information about you. And if they can do that to that platform, don't tell me they can eventually get their hands on YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google, which is a corporation. And we have seen these corporations willing to play ball with Trump to do whatever Trump wants them to do to curry favor with Trump. Tell me I'm lying. I dare you. Now, in the last video I'm going to give you so that we can come to a conclusion today, everybody, will be Don Lemon. Don Lemon went live last night and he said, I just clipped a little bit of this after he had been released from being arrested. And this is what Don Lemon had to say late last night. Or, well, it wasn't really late because it was light outside. He was at a friend's house, and check him out.
Couple of days or so. You have to be willing to sacrifice something. I'm not telling you that you need to go and be arrested or any of those things. And I'm not telling you to violence or to break the law. But during the civil rights movement, to fight
here we
for
right.
civil rights,
Mm-hmm.
people did what John Lewis said. A lot of people said, does it get into good trouble? And by getting into good trouble, I don't necessarily mean protesting. If that's your thing, then do it. But getting into good trouble could mean that you are standing up to your organization. If you're a journalist that says, no, you can't do that. You have to be put up. You have to do false equivalence. You got to be, make sure that when you're talking about Donald Trump, you get go easy. No, you don't do that. So that's what I mean by getting into good trouble. Because when I've had so many people, even people who you would not expect, conservatives, members of law enforcement, who said, Don, and it's going to happen sooner, but I want you to project yourself 20 years into the future, and you're going to look back and go, wow, I'm so glad I stood for something. Because, cliche, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And a lot of people are falling for anything. I think that this administration has neutered pretty much the mainstream corporate media. There's still fighters out there, right? I think they've neutered that.
Let me stop something. I want to correct something I've said in this video. It just dawned on me. I'm going to come back to Don in a minute. I kept saying that this baby right here was the 6-month-old baby older. No, all their children, all these black children got impacted. This is one child from the family that I talked about that were impacted by this so-called pastor of this church that they protested for. And now I'm realizing that, no, this was one of the children amongst many that got harmed that night, black child. This family, I think they got 6 kids. This is one of their babies. But then this is the one that's 6 months old. That's right here. So it wasn't the same. They're not this is the same. This is the baby who was affected. This baby is 3 months old. 3 or 6 months old. One of the two, I think 3 months old. I could be wrong, but obviously it's a baby. And then the other baby or the other sibling, this child right here, was also impacted along with the other kids that they had. But these were the kids that were the most prominent ones that got hurt. I just want to correct that because I kept saying that this was the same child here when no, that's that might be the brother or sister. This might be, I think this is the son. They had a son. So this is the brother of the other brother right here, who's a little bit a little bit older than the baby that's obviously some months old. I just wanted to correct that because I kept saying to myself, wait a minute. They did say that there were 6 kids in the car. So therefore, lots of these children would be impacted by the tear gas that was deployed that night. But the baby, obviously being 3 months old or so, would be impacted even more. I just wanted to emphasize that, folks, as I was thinking about it and saying, wait a minute, let me correct myself on the identity of the kids. But at the end of the day, y'all get the point. Black children were impacted by this situation. No child should be impacted. And it wasn't because the parents were out there protesting with their kids. The parents were trying to go home. And ICE didn't give a damn about their family. They had to flee their car. The air, when you have a crash and you have the air, the safety balloons or whatever the hell, the stuff that pops open in your car to protect you, the air balloon, the air safety. Golly, it just dawned on me as I get close to conclusion. Let me continue playing this.
And now they're going to come up against any sort of independent free press.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're going to come.
Right. This is the key right here, y'all.
Take down or silence.
Mm-hmm.
But people cannot silence what the people want. They cannot silence what the people want. So if you, as the people, if you want to continue getting free and fair and unencumbered journalism, thoughts, commentary, points of view, opinion, then you have to support those who are doing it, like a lot of you are now. So thank you very much.
Facts. You have to support that. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Now, at the end of the day, Don Lemon's going to land on his feet. He's made pretty good money over the years being a mainstream media personality on CNN. I'm sure the brother's made lots of money. He's invested well. He's got homes. He's making a lot of money off his YouTube channel as he gets a lot of views over there. I think he's got 1.4 million subs over there. Don Lemon's going to be okay, even though he got arrested. He's got the money to bail himself out. The people I think that will be impacted more than Don Lemon, because he's a known entity, is the people like myself and other content creators who thrive to kind of bring you information that sometimes the mainstream won't bring you. We're the ones that will be impacted more by what they did to Don, because Don is just the example. He's the catalyst. They always use black people as the catalyst. Don is the catalyst. And that catalyst is that if we could do it to a well-known journalist like Don Lemon or Georgia Fort or any black person, for example, then we can certainly censor you folks on social media that's talking out against Trump or talking out about anything that you don't like. We can certainly make sure that how can they censor us? They can do a variety of things. They can make sure that our videos don't get a lot of views. I certainly know that YouTube does that right now to some of our channels. They'll make sure that you don't get views. So even if they don't take the channel down and they allow you to go live and speak your speech, they'll just make sure that only a small segment of people will see the video. I told you I did a video on Keith Porter. I got maybe 500 something views on that video. That video is not getting any traction at all, because why? They don't want it to get traction, because nobody cares about what happens to black people. So that's what YouTube does. They'll just make sure the video doesn't get any views from the algorithms, or they'll demonetize the video, or they'll delete the video and say, oh, this goes against the terms of services. Take the video down. Or they give you some kind of community strike or say, oh, misinformation, stuff like that. That's how YouTube operates and has always operated. But now you get someone like Trump who's telling people, if you give me money, if you do this for me, I'll play ball with you. You got Trump involved in all kind of stuff. He's involved in whether Netflix can buy this studio or this studio can buy that. He's all up in the middle of everything. So now Google is owned by a corporation. Trump can certainly go to Google and the CEO and say, look, we want y'all to start, tweaking your algorithm so that certain stuff doesn't get out there. And if you do that for us, we'll be favorable for you in this administration. We'll be very favorable for you. That's all he got to do. Because YouTube might be the last bastion of where people can truly speak their minds and put it on video. And that might not soon last that long, y'all. I'm going to say this as I get ready to end. Everybody in the chat room that's listening and everyone that may listen to this video after I end, remember that Information Man said this, that don't be surprised if they begin to implement what they're doing on TikTok on YouTube. Because why? They know that everybody from TikTok is going to run over to YouTube now if they have not already had YouTube channels. They know that people are going to run over here to do the content that they can't do on TikTok. And that other platform called Upscale, or no, not Upscale, Upscroll, I'm going over there to sign up a couple of channels over there. So be on the lookout. When I sign up and get myself signed up over there on Upscroll, I'll let you know where you can find me on Upscroll. They saying that Upscroll right now is the platform that's saying we're letting people speak their mind. At least it's what it is right now. They've got so many people subscribing to Upscroll that the server had shut down over there. Because they got so many people signing up for Upscroll. Upscroll is basically a TikTok-like wannabe sort of platform. They're doing like what TikTok doing, where you can do videos vertically and all that kind of stuff. They're the answer to TikTok doing what it's doing to people. So people are running over there. Also, you've got Blue Sky. If you're tired of what's happening with Twitter, check out Blue Sky. Sign up for Blue Sky. I've got a Blue Sky over there. You can find me at Information Man Blue Sky. You can find my political memes over there on Blue Sky at Political Media Reacts on the Blue Sky. Blue Sky, they let us talk and say what we want on Blue Sky. They let us post the things that we want on Blue Sky. They let us post the videos that we want without any censorship. Let me tell you something. I got a couple accounts on X, and I've been posting some pretty, controversial stuff on there, every now and then. And did you know that I'm getting no traction on the X? Because Elon Musk, who is also a sick PDF himself, because he was in those, it's already come out about him. That's my next video that I'm going to do, folks. Be able to look at. I'm going to expose how funky the Donald Trump administration really is, how sick they are. But Elon Musk is tweaking the algorithm so that if you are saying anything against him or against his Trump friend, his buddy, or anything opposite to them, they're making sure that you don't get no traction. If you are a mega head, if you are Make America Great Again mega head, or you post anything, or you get lots of traction. Now, if you're a celebrity, a well-known person, of course, you're going to still get some traction because you got so many people following you. Anyway, Upscroll is also owned by, owned by a Palestinian. Yeah. But what I understand, that person that's a Palestinian, he said he wants to make his platform where people can speak his mind because he's Palestinian. Right. Check this out again. Jay, the informant, you know this. If you got anything to say about Israel, anything in favor or against Israel, they're making sure that any of that content either gets deleted or doesn't get any traction, or you get a warning labeled on you. Like I told y'all, I made a short out of the video I did about Geno Jennings talking about Trump. I uploaded it on my Information Man TikTok. I don't really be on TikTok like that. I hadn't put no new stuff on TikTok. I decided, okay, let me revamp my TikTok, take down the old stuff and revamp and start from fresh. I dropped the Geno Jennings TikTok video, and before I know it, they put a warning on it and blocked the video and said, to get the warning off, you'll have to go through our little questionnaire to be able to remove the warning. And I said, what? And then the news comes out that TikTok is becoming more censorized. And I'm like, man, maybe I should just not even mess with TikTok altogether. I don't know. But with that said, I do know this. If they can do this to Don Lemon and do this to a baby and do that to Don Lemon, to a baby, and affect other journalists the way they did independent folks, what you think they can do to the rest of us on these platforms in terms of censoring us, cracking down on us? With that said, everybody, I'm about to get on out of here. Peace, respect. Make sure you share the video on all your social media. I say that for a reason, because you, everybody in the audience that's been watching me, you guys are the ones that help the channel to get traction when the algorithms won't give it traction, depending on. Now, if I'm talking about, obviously, if I'm talking about someone like Umar Johnson, the algorithms loves it because I'm talking about a black man who's ripping black people off, a black man that's lying to his own people, a black man that's deceitful. But the YouTube algorithms loves that. But when I'm talking about this man right here, the YouTube algorithms don't like it.
Tell the truth.
Just got to keep it real with y'all. With that said, take care. Peace. Peace. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Tell the truth.
My baby probably
tell the truth.
Gonna regret everything, so I let her know. Gotta let her know. Came through the front door. I'll be ready for. And if it's what you want.
BS3 Network, changing the way you listen to podcasts. You are now tuned to BS3 Network. BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel. Information is power.
Let her know, I gotta let her know that she my white horse, she my medical. She like my baby mama, know how to take care of me. Give my baby problems, you gon' regret everything. So I let her know, gotta let her know. Came through the front door, I'll be ready for. And if it's what you want, I'ma give it to you. Yeah, promise, I'ma give it to you.
Miss that smile, Lord knows I ain't seen that in a while, but it's your style, so something must be up keeping you down. You a queen that must be heaven sent. Pray my soul, I must repent for not telling you what I meant and how I felt. Honestly, I'm used to throwing wishes in a well. My conscience tells me that I could have helped without fail. Actions speak louder than words, and that's a lesson that I learned all by myself.
Let her know. like my baby mama, know how to take care of me. Give my baby problems, you gon' regret every day. So I let her know, gotta let her know.
You are listening to Information Man.
I'll be
Please
ready
make sure
for
to
it.
subscribe to
If
his
it's what
channel.
you want, I'ma give it to you. Yeah, promise, I'ma give it to you. La, 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 la,
Feel it, baby. Stress is all around us. These high ceilings, and I need
You
it,
are
baby.
listening
Pressure
to
and make diamonds. I
Information
won't
Man.
steal it, baby.
Please make
Silent,
sure to
baby. Hurts
subscribe
to
to
see
his
you crying. Know you
Tell the
trying.
truth.
Ain't no lying, baby. When I say I need you, greedy. If I have to share you, it was me that all along did you wrong. Thinking that I made you beautiful and strong. This toxicity, the death of me. I fear the day you gone. The most beautiful girl I've ever known.
I'll find a way to treat you better. I swear there's no one out there like you. You teach me to be better. My talk is cheap, keep asking what I do. I'll fly you to the moon and hope I'll see you soon. I'll find a way to treat you better. No problem, I'll do whatever. Let her know, I gotta let her know that she my white horse, she my medical. She like my baby mama, know how to take care of me. Give my baby problems, you gon' regret every day. So I let her know.
Tell the truth.